What's going on, guys? Chris Russler back here again with another episode of Blizzard Backlog, showing off an indie game called Severed Steel. And as you can show here, just in the opening moments, it is nothing short of high-octane action all over the place, making you feel like John Wick on steroids, blasting, shooting, jumping on the walls, Titanfall, plus Hardcore Henry, plus I don't even know, so many boomer shooters that are all mixed in at once with slow-mo action scenes and blowing shit up. And the game is exactly what it looks like. We're going to go over a few things today and just giving you some raw gameplay here to show you guys just exactly what it looks like and what you're going to get into. First things first, I do want to say is this game is pretty short. There's a new game plus, of course, so you can kind of expand upon what you're doing. They're going to make tough enemies tougher, yada, 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 but obviously, of course, it's going to be the same maps and all that. But I will say there is like 50 different maps or something like that. Like, you're constantly going through levels just blazing speed, giving you X amount of minis to hit, kill, like along with some side objectives to go hit this, go do that, blah, 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 and then you move on to the next level. So when it comes to saving progress or anything like that, each mission is its own thing. That's kind of like a checkpoint. So when it comes to dying, don't really worry about it. You're just going to load back to the level. Each level takes about, let's say about a minute or two to beat. Minute, 2-3 minutes, maybe like 5 at the most for like the later stages. But no, yeah, this game is exactly what it looks like. There's nothing really here to really show. Story-wise, the game doesn't really have a whole lot to go for it. Its story is told in like silent comic book panels. There isn't any actual dialogue in regards to them saying what's going on. You kind of just have to put it together for yourself. Story-wise, it really just boils down to Corporation Bad, go take it down. That's really all I can really gather. That was basically I think you're maybe part of an experiment in some kind. That's kind of like why you have a vendetta against them personally. In regards to gameplay, though, there's a handful of mechanics here. Outside of the arm cannon that you do get pretty early on, there's just basically just blast holes in the wall. The entire environment is destructible, so that's definitely a nice little thing. And of course, the arm cannon can be used as a gun as well. That recharges pretty easily. You get between 3 to 5 shots, I think 6 at the end, but that just naturally progresses on its own. So you have a sliding mechanic, run on walls, of course, like Titanfall. You can jump over enemies, use your slow-mo, of course, which is the main mechanic, because you have to use that slow-mo. Trying to fight in non-slow-mo becomes incredibly difficult because you're going at such a high pace that trying to like aim at anything really is pretty damn hard. Enemy variety wise, it's kind of light, but I think it works perfectly fine. There's just enough variety there. Of course, you have your regular foot soldiers with machine guns and shotguns and pistols and so on. You have shield guys who, of course, are going to be facing you 24/7, so you got to find a way around them. You have flamethrower units who they only have one weak point, which is directly on their back, so you have to kind of get behind them and whichever way you want. After that, you have some jetpack guys who aren't really anything special. They just, have a jetpack to them. In regards to that, there also aren't any boss battles. There is like one final one, but that's really it. Most of the levels are just based on like either waves or preset amount of enemies they hit to handle, alongside just having to do some like minor objectives, like let's say, go turn this off, go destroy that, so on and so forth. Again, the game really doesn't spend a whole lot of time with the story, and I don't think it needs to. I think the gameplay speaks for itself. As you go without saying, those of you who are big Doom fans, especially Doom Eternal, this is going to be the exact game for you. I will say, though, that the game is a little expensive at normal cost, about $25 on Steam. So it's a little steep because the runtime is about 4 hours at the most. There's some replayability with New Game Plus, of course, and there are like some extra add-ons. There's a level editor, so you can do your own thing, along with some extra missions and challenges on the side. But the main campaign is just 4 hours straight. And of course, you can always replay it because you get to do things your own way, blah, blah, blah. And it's just overall fun. And for those of you who are into replayability, I think there's plenty to be had here. But not only because of the fact that the enemies are very reactive to what you're doing, but also due to the fact, realistically, are you going to really play this thing the same way twice each time? No, I don't think so. And I think the maps are done really, really well in regards to all feeling significantly different from one another. Like, yeah, they all look like facility, generic, bad guy place, blah, 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 sure. But they mix it up with including a cafeteria, the offices, and yada yada yada. There's a train level, adding a decent amount of verticality. It just blends in. The levels themselves are not particularly distinct, but they all have their own feel, if that makes sense. To quickly touch on performance here, I will say that the one thing that caught my eye the most is the fact that this game just runs butterly smooth. I did not have to touch anything in the graphics or settings or anything like that. It ran perfectly fine right out the box, and obviously you can see that it just looks great. That being said, this game just absolutely eats the Steam Deck's battery. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming because it has to process so many things so quickly. I'm just going to give it the benefit of the doubt to say that's what it is, because if not, this thing has to be mining Bitcoin or something on the Steam Deck. Because, dude, I don't know what it is. This game cannot be beaten in one run because it eats away so much battery. So if you're thinking about playing this on the road, I would probably discourage you from doing so unless you're just going to do like a 10-minute drive down there and back to your place, because this thing is not going to last. You're going to get like an hour and a half at the most. Like, I was constantly having to put the game down and have to charge my Steam Deck because it just was not hanging on. Mind you, I don't have any like damage to my battery or anything, but it's something I have to acknowledge because of the fact that like, yo, like that's just crazy, because we know like games like Red Dead and stuff like that are just going to eat at the battery naturally because they're just so graphically intensive. I guess this one is as well. I don't even know. Short episode today, guys, because there really isn't a whole lot more to get into about this game. Again, the gameplay is phenomenal. I highly recommend anyone who likes boomer shooters, anything like the Trepang 2 or anything else like that. I highly recommend this game to you guys. It's quick, it's easy, it's fun. I would definitely get it on sale though, because $25 for a 4-hour experience plus some extra add-ons is just definitely not worth it. I don't know what game could possibly be worth a 4-hour experience. Like, I mean, like Abzu and stuff like that is cool and all that inside and this yada yada yada, but yeah, $25 for this. I don't know. I guess I'm always gonna be a stickler when it comes to pricing these type of shorter experiences, no matter how good they are. Price aside, though, and again, story-wise, I really didn't need anything exciting. I don't think it even really needs one outside of just like the basic like convo panels that it gives you, and which of course you can just skip those as well. So you're not gonna have to like waste time and try to figure X, Y, and Z out. I have to give this game, again, ignoring the price, I have to give this game a solid 8 out of 10. My biggest gripe with the game is the fact that while there's so many like well put together levels and all that, some of them really kind of suck because they have like massive like dips or like things you can fall off of that just has to restart it. And then the final few levels are just kind of meh. Like there's a one part where basically after you beat the CEO, he's like in a giant robot mech suit. I don't think that counts as a spoiler. He was the only boss fight, mind you, again, which is perfectly fine. I don't think this game needed boss fights. I think that just handling the goons and doing all this stuff was just perfectly fine. I think that's all the game needed to be. But that boss fight itself was kind of like meh because like, yeah, there's like a few like random like goons hanging around, so you have to kill them to get their weapons, but like you're kind of just stuck having to kill them over and over again, the ones that you do find, because they're kind of like hiding off in the corners. You have to go out of your way to go kill them so you can get more ammo or just more guns, because there's none to be found in the area. So it just makes the boss fight more tedious and having to do it longer, which is kind of annoying. I want to say second to last part of the game, you're having to go around destroying like a million different generators or whatever it was so you can escape the building, and it's just an overly long level with a lot of verticality to it, which is perfectly fine. The problem is the fact that because the level is so long and there's enemies everywhere, I did die a few more times than normal, and that was just kind of annoying me. But that's just my personal take on it. But I think it's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in for another episode of Blazing Through the Backlog. Again, I highly recommend this game. Just pick it up on sale whenever you can. Thank you once again for tuning in, watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.